Hello, brilliant and embodied souls. My name is Kim. Welcome back to my channel. I am so glad that you are here. Maybe you need some laughs, and that is why you clicked on this video. I find myself turning to comedy in dark times. This week has been rather heavy, personally, professionally, collectively. I'm not going to get into the whys of the heaviness. That's not what we're really here for. Needless to say, I am just struggling. I think I'm just struggling on all of those levels. So I turn to comedy in times of struggle. It's a coping mechanism. Anybody who's interested in psychology understands that, I think. And not all coping strategies are problematic. I think finding humor can be a fantastic way of grappling with the human condition. I've been thinking a lot about Milan Kundera's work. He, of course, wrote the book, The Unbearable Lightness of Being. He was exiled from his country because of the political happenings. Is history repeating itself? Maybe. At any rate, his books are harrowing, right? And yet at times they can be funny, although maybe kind of sexist. But that's neither here nor there. We're not here to judge Mr. Kundera. It's simply to say that he pointed out within many of his books that in order to cope with the unbearableness of being, the fragility, the tenuousness, the horrors, the atrocities, sometimes we need to lean into the joy of the cosmic joke. Understanding that cosmic joke is a way to make our way through. So that's what we're here to do today. we're here. Like what do tarot and oracle decks have to do with anything I just said? Well, in these times, I find myself going to decks that are comedic. So we are going to go on a little tarot and oracle deck comedy tour today. I want to share some of my funny decks with all of you in the spirit of coping, in the spirit of having some fun, in the spirit of tapping into that cosmic joke that we continue to play on ourselves as human beings. So, funny decks. One disclaimer: what I find funny, you might not find funny. Comedy is highly subjective, it's highly personal. So take what you will of this list and understand that I am, of course, coming from my experiences, my point of view, obviously. Without further ado, let's get this show on the road. We're kicking things off with a dark humor deck. I've got the Outgrow Yourself tarot and oracle. It is both. It is esoterical. And this deck is not funny haha by any means. It is spiky. It is confrontational. At times, there's a tension within this deck. This deck often leaves me feeling very uncomfortable. Those are qualities of dark humor. Dark humor operates on discomfort, dis-ease, right? And kind of gets under our skin, if you will. It tells truths by doing so. And that's actually a pretty big role of humor. As I see it, humor points to deeper truths that are difficult to grapple with, but it points those aspects of life out in a way that is manageable to us because humor is present. In order to get a joke, you have to understand the context, right? So this deck often points to certain areas of life that are difficult, but does so in a thought-provoking, head-tilting kind of way that can be humorous. I'm going to weave in some pop cultural references throughout this video. This deck is very Heathers to me. It's very Jojo Rabbit, if any of you have seen those movies. It is also Poor Things. This deck is very much a Poor Things deck. And Poor Things is, again, not funny, haha. It's very disturbing. It's very ouchy. I feel a certain way when I watch that movie, and yet I have laughed several times. I've watched the movie a few times. In watching it a few times, I've laughed because, again, like I feel uncomfortable. But that discomfort is not a bad thing. The other thing about this deck is it is a Thoth-based deck. The thing about that, though, is I feel that this deck is making fun of the Thoth. There are certain cards, like this Hermit card, right? There's absolutely no Thoth symbolism going on here. What grows in the shade, the Hermit, I don't know, like that is that's funny to me. And I feel it's a little bit of a FU to the Thoth at times. Right, like the Emperor. I mean, this is a great depiction of the Emperor, right? And then we have this keyword phrase here, outgrow yourself, right? Like, Emperor, get over yourself. We see you. We see you. We see you in your hypocrisy, and we are calling you out. So again, this deck is not funny, haha. It is ouchy. It is provocative. Those are qualities of dark humor. I love dark humor. It is very thought-provoking, and there's a tension within dark humor that feels so precarious, and yet it's in that precariousness that we can grow, which is very in keeping with the theme of this deck. Next up on our comedy tour, I've got some psychedelic humor for all of you. This is the Morgan's Tarot. It is not a tarot. Already we've got that joke going on. It is a oracle deck. It is inspired by New Age thinking, coming out of a Eastern philosophical and spiritual context. The guidebook says that it is inspired by Buddhist non-dual philosophy, which makes sense. This deck was published in 1970. Here we go. Thanks, US Games. Really, really appreciate just putting it out there for us. This deck is sarcastic. There's a sarcasm going on with this imagery. It is very much of a time, right? It comes from the hippie, New Age fascination that was taking place in the late 60s, moving into the 70s. This deck is irreverent. It is sarcastic, as I said. It's bizarre. It's surreal. If there is a judge, you are it. Judge. Boom. Right, we've got this blank card. It's very off-kilter. This deck has a lot of off-kilter humor, Zen koan humor, surrealist, psychedelic humor. It reminds me of Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. Again, it's not funny, ha ha ha. It's more funny, what? Huh? When I work with this deck, sometimes it can totally flip a reading upside down. It makes me cock my head. It makes me stop and pause. I still don't understand, right? All of this computing, and I still don't understand. The messages from this oracle are sometimes confounding. Sometimes I really have to sit with the messages. Like a Zen koan, it has to be revealed. The messages have to be revealed. Sometimes that's immediate, other times not at all. I come from a different planet, right? The war has reached a critical point between Atlantis and moi. I mean, like, what? It's bizarre. It's kooky. It's super kooky. The other types of humor that this deck reminds me of are the books by Tom Robbins, which are very irreverent. Monty Python, Groundhog Day. Those are just some of the pop cultural references that this deck taps me into. I love this deck because of all of these qualities that I'm describing, right? Like no trips without the tripper. I mean, boom. There's so much wisdom in this deck though. If you can kind of get around the circuitous logic found within this deck, you reach profound wisdom. I swear. The last thing I'll say about this deck is that it may be going out of print. So if you are interested in this deck, I suggest moving on that. I obviously I don't have any insider information with regards to US Games and what they plan to do with this deck, but I went on Amazon and I don't think it's on Amazon at present. I went on to US Games' website. It's not there either. You can still find copies though at super reasonable prices. So if you're drawn to this deck, I'd suggest moving quickly, because nobody is here but us folks. Okay. Another deck that falls into the category I just mentioned is, of course, the Tantric Dini Oracle. It is also Psychedelic Humor. These two decks are opening for each other in the Tarot and Oracle deck comedy tour. They share a sense of humor. They share a lot of the qualities I just mentioned. This deck is even more profound than the Morgan's Tarot. And I say that because the images are very rich and evocative. The images in this deck do a lot for me. Not that the Morgan's Tarot does, the images there, they do a lot for me too, just in a more simplistic way. These images are far more, again, rich. And I love the quirky spiritual wisdom that comes from this deck. It again is very Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. It feels very Burning Man to me. You know, it is the intersection of psychedelics. It's the intersection of spirituality. It's also an intersection with deep philosophy, while not necessarily taking itself too seriously. But at times, you know, there are really serious themes going on in this deck, but you know, right, like you pull cremation ground meditation with elixir fruit essence. I mean, this is the perfect contrast. It again has a tension within the deck. That tension does offer some discomfort. That discomfort makes you pause, think, deepen into the context to ask yourself, what is the cosmic joke that is being played out here? It's such a great deck. I mean, like, I don't know, it's just like deep, and we've got this mermaid, but you know, it's like her tail looks like it's made out of tinfoil. I don't know, it's just like pearls before swine. I mean, I just love the offbeatness of this oracle so much. It is a top favorite oracle for me. I turn to this oracle time and time again because it is profound. It just hits me in all the right ways. Yeah. I'm turning to it a lot lately, actually, for the reasons I mentioned. It's really helping me cope with the heaviness and darkness that we are encountering at this juncture. Okay, let's keep on the kind of bizarre humor train with the Portals Tarot. This is another bizarre humor kind of deck. It's not funny, ha ha ha. We've got this weird clip art situation going on. It feels dry humor to me. It feels bizarre humor to me. You know, some of the pop cultural references that this deck reminds me of is Arrested Development, where the characters in that show do not understand how funny they are, right? We as the audience watch the characters do horrible, ridiculous, outlandish things, and we're laughing, they're not laughing. We are laughing at them. This deck is a little bit like that. I sometimes laugh at this deck. I don't know if it's laughing at itself. Maybe it is. Maybe it understands that it doesn't want to take itself so seriously, but there is something sort of unself-conscious. Like this deck is not self-conscious. There's just an earnestness about this deck. And yet it's just playful and goofy, very chatty. It's a very talkative deck. What else do I want to say? You know, it has sort of a little bit of a dry sense of humor too. There's a office space kind of vibe within this deck. This deck likes to, like I said, it's very chatty. It enjoys providing readings. There is something very intuitive and what's the word I'm looking for? It's intuitive, you know, meaning like when I lay out the cards, I do just get flashes of messages, and it is interesting. I don't always understand why I get some of the flashes that I do. This is a magical deck. It's funny and weird and quirky, but it is also very, very magical. This is independently produced. The creator emails you a PDF guidebook, which I have found to be very enjoyable. I mean, right, it's just like the some of the juxtaposition. There is a lot of, like, this deck is all over the place, and yet it is cohesive, which I guess is another aspect of why I find it funny. There's just these really strange juxtapositions, right? We've got these swords that are very ornate, and then we've got these, like, this weird computer generated graphic stuff going on here. It's just really, it's a bizarre deck. It's bizarre, but in that bizarreness, there's a sense of humor taking place, which is why it is on this comedy tour. Okay, next up, I do have a out of print deck, so you are warned. We have got the Tarot of the Sephro. I talked about this deck in my spring video. This is a very spring deck. It is also a very cartoonish, comedic deck. It reminds me of The Simpsons or or Futurama. It takes me back to the comedic joke that might reside within the Tree of Life. This deck does have a lot of esoteric symbolism going on, but the people crack me up, right? Like, check out these court cards. Right, the Queen of Cups is annoyed with the Princess of Discs, and the Princess of Discs is having absolutely none of the Prince of Cups shenanigans. The interaction of these characters is just so good. Like, right, like, check this out. The Queen of Cups is giving side eye to the Queen of Swords, who just said something incredibly cutting, catty. They are having a dramatic moment, but it's not high drama. Oh, no. This is comedic drama for sure. The people in this deck just crack me up. We've got pips with personality. There is tons of esoteric wisdom and knowledge layered in here, but then we've got these crazy court cards that just want to tell wonky stories. I like that juxtaposition of the deeply spiritual with the comedic. There's a nice tension there, and it's the kind of tension that works really well for me personally. I mean, like, look at this King of Cups, right? I mean, you could just see the court cards sitting in their elemental palaces, hamming it up, telling jokes about the fundamental reality that human existence sits upon. You know, I don't know. It's just, this deck continues to surprise me. It makes me laugh, right? We've got this, like, magician who appears to be coming out of a flying saucer. I don't know. Like I said, it's very The Simpsons. It's very Futurama. Any kind of plot can take place within this deck, but that plot is going to entertain you, make you laugh, while simultaneously pointing you to deep inspiration, deep wisdom, philosophical messages that can profoundly impact the direction of your life. I mean, wow. Okay. Things are getting a little unhinged around here. Okay, I have one more deck to share with all of you. And this is a more physical deck. It is a maybe more raunchy humor deck. You have been warned. So the situation with this deck is that it has a lot of graphic nudity going on with it. So I'm only going to share a select grouping of cards because YouTube does not like what this deck is giving. And, you know, I've got feelings, I've got thoughts about all of that, but I do understand that not everybody wants to see bits and bobs. And there are a lot of bits and bobs to be seen within this deck. The creator on a podcast spoke about how this deck almost didn't come into existence because they struggled to find somebody willing to print this deck. That gives you a sense of the bits and bobs depicted in the rest of this deck. It is full on. It is drag humor. It is raunchy. It is in your face. Some of my favorite drag comedians, Bianca Del Rio, Jinx Monsoon, I could see them using this deck. It is exactly their type of humor. I could also see Jim Carrey liking this deck, right? Because he has a very physical, over the top kind of persona as an entertainer, as an actor. I mean, this card looks like Bianca Del Rio, doesn't it? I think it does. This deck is also very Lucille Ball. I mean, she was such a comedic innovator of her time. She was not afraid to get dirty. She was not afraid to do absolutely ridiculous things. This deck feels very much like that. It is willing to just put it all out in order to give you a profound reading. Nothing is being held back within this deck. and it is very over the top. It is very overstimulating. I don't read with this deck all that often for that reason. It still holds an amazing place within my collection though, because of the characteristics I've described to all of you. I like having a deck like this because it is a locally based creator. I like the story behind this deck. I like the intentions of this deck. It's a very queer deck. It's a deck that wants to bring sexuality, sensuality, play, drag, identity, politics. Like it wants to mess all of those things up all together and again guide you along your journey. It's a really wonderful deck. It really, really is. But yeah, it is also incredibly stimulating and subversive. This is a subversive deck, and humor is supposed to be subversive. I mean, if you don't understand the joke, you can't laugh. The role of comedy is to make us stop and think, to self-examine. Why do we find something funny? The art of humor is a profound art. And it has been really helping me cope in these dark times. So I just want to thank you for hanging out with me. If you've made it this far in the video, please let me know if you have any funny decks. I would love to hear about them. As I said earlier, I can take all the laughs I can get at this point in time. I'm so glad that you hung out with me, and I will see you all in the next video. Sending you much love until then. Bye for now.